November 2020, I guess it is, board meeting. The KCSA Board of Directors will officially call the meeting to order. And our first order of business will be a roll call. Ron Lynn.
Here.
Brandon Beatty.
Here.
Catherine Chapman.
Here.
Ed Connors.
Here.
Anicio Holmes Brown.
Here.
John Hudson is here. Angel Freeman.
Here.
Michael Pierce.
Here.
And Jonathan Hogg.
Here.
All right, next we'll move to our homeowner forum.
Hey, John,
Yes.
can I just give you a heads up just to let everybody know that we are recording this meeting?
Sure, we are recording it. Homeowner forum, Bruce, I understand we only have one individual, Hartley, that wants to speak.
Yep, and I'll go ahead and unmute him now.
Okay, so Hartley, if you'll just.
Hartley, you should be able to unmute yourself. There you go.
Good morning.
Just please state your name and address, and you've got 3 minutes.
First of all, I want to say it's a sad day with the passing of Leland Williams, who's been one of our long-term friends of Kings Mill and former president of the Golf Association. Very sudden, and it's very sad day for many of us. First of all, I am Hartley Bond, 216 Tutter's Neck, and I've been here for 23 years. Mr. President and members of the KCSA Board of Directors, for several years, the Homeowner Forum has been one of the first items on the board agenda. This gives homeowners the opportunity of voicing concerns, making suggestions to the board, or raising issues of interest to the residents. Surprisingly, homeowner comments are never mentioned in the minutes of the meeting, and I believe they should be, particularly since there is no discussion and seldom, if any, response from the board. Forum typically denotes, quote, a medium for open discussion, end quote. Over the past year, a number of issues have been raised, particularly at recent meetings, yet there is no record of any of these issues being raised and consequently no follow-up. Since the Homeowner Forum is an official agenda item, I recommend that the minutes include remarks brought forth by the residents. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Hartley. That's a reasonable point. Actually, we should discuss that. All right. Anyone else, Bruce, in the queue for the homeowners forum?
That's all I have, John.
That's it. Okay. All right. Let's move to item 3 on our agenda, our consent agenda. 3A, B, and C, approval and correction of the October 21, 2020 board due process executive session meeting minutes rather. Item 3B, approval correction of the draft of the October 22nd, 2020 board meeting minutes. And item 3C, approval correction of the draft of the October 21 board executive session meeting minutes. Are there any changes or corrections to these minutes? I will say I did give some new language to Mona on the paragraph with respect to the leadership agenda in the October minutes. Didn't change the substance, but just did some editing. So I don't know if that's been circulated yet, but it's fairly benign editing change. Any other changes or corrections anyone has?
No.
All right, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes carry. Next, let's move to item 4 on the agenda. Ron, our October financial statements. You want to review those for us?
Hey, you want to bring up the slide there for us, John? Thank you. For the month of October, KCSA ran an operating surplus. Turning to the details for the month ended October 31, KCSA homeowner assessments amounted to $434,000, which is on budget. Other income was $95,000 versus budgeted other revenue of $48,000. KCSA operating revenue after debt service and reserve funding totaled $368,000, which is $47,000 over budget. We incurred $336,000 in total operating expenses, which was $17,000 favorably under budget. The net result for October is $32,000 of income over expenses compared to a budgeted forecast of a $32,000 loss for the month. And we'll get into that in a minute. Let us turn to our year-to-date results for the 10-month ended October 31. Through October, KCSA homeowner assessments amounted to $4,340,000, which is $5,000 ahead of budget. In addition, other income amounted to $594,000, or about $40,000 over budget. These two income streams amounted to $4,934,000. And after paying our mortgage expenses and setting aside our reserve funding, we had $3,344,000 of operating income, which is $59,000 over what we budgeted. Bringing all this together, we generated year-to-date operating income, as I said, of $3,344,000, while operating expenses amounted to $3,092,000. Therefore, we had a revenue surplus of $252,000 for the first 10 months of the year. This resulted mostly from operating expenses that were $202,000 under budget. Of special interest, home resale income for the 10-month ended October 31 was $394,000 versus our year-to-date budget forecast of $359,000. In the month of October alone, home resale income amounted to $79,000, which was $53,000 over an expected income of $26,000. And that's what drove that $32,000 of income over expenses compared to our budgeted forecast of a $32,000 loss. Now let's look at our funded reserves as of the end of October. Operating Expense Reserve Fund, or OER, had a $42,000 in expenditure, $48,000 in expenditures this month. And year to date, we've spent $178,000 on stormwater drainage and tree management projects. We have a balance of $712,000 in OER. Major Maintenance and Replacement Funds, or MM&R, we spent $7,000 this month, primarily on road construction. Year to date, we have spent $6,988,000 on MM&R projects. The MM&R fund has a balance of $5,756,000. New Capital Projects Fund, or NCP, had a $31,000 in expenditures this month. Year to date, we have spent $87,000 and then out of this fund, and the New Capital Project Fund has a balance of $708,000. Turning to accounts receivable, not on your chart, accounts receivable for October, homeowner accounts for both KCSA and the parcels has a balance of $145,000 due, which is favorably under budget, about $4,000 from September. Homeowner accounts receivable over 90 days old amounted to $99,000, which is up about $3,000 from last month. The October financial statements have been reviewed by the Budget and Finance Committee, and they recommend the Board of Directors approve the financial statements. And I move the board approve the October financial statements.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments for Ron?
No.
Okay, all those in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Statements are accepted. Thank you, Ron. Let's go to item 5 on our agenda, staff reports. Bruce, I think you're up first.
Okay, just to hit on Ron's, the first chart you'll see is the delinquency, as Ron mentioned, we're down a few $1,000s from the previous month. We still continue to fluctuate between 18 and 21 on the those folks in collections, and then our final notices are down some as well for the month of October. Next slide is the community standards numbers. I had a long discussion with a board member earlier this week, and I think I've got a little bit of confusion here. So I'm going to make some shifting around of these columns to kind of clarify things a little bit going forward. But you can see October's down just a little bit on new disclosure packages as well as on violations as well. The follow-up that Darcy's doing is still up there with 221 violations that she's still dealing with. And then we had one hearing during the month of October. All right, just to keep everybody in the loop on EPB progress, we had 65 applications during the month of October, which is down some from September. And then we're at 630 through for the year to date. We're at 630 applications so far processed. And then next slide, just kind of keeping everybody in the loop on a few projects. The Burwell's Glen, we've postponed that asphalt there due to the weather. Not changing with the contractors, but some additional work that needs to be done. We do have an email going out today to those folks just to let them know the process. We are coming back in, we hope the week of November the 30th, weather permitting, to fix those two roads, Samuel Sharp and Talo, need another layer of asphalt. So we'll fix those, and then we'll bring this for the first projects beginning in 2021 as well. Drainage projects continue on throughout the property. Self-help we're dealing with on a couple of properties that are unfortunately are being assisted by council on those. Pickleball conversion started, I believe, last week. It's in the process. We're putting out an RFP for our IT services, and then you can see us keeping the list there of the projects that have been completed thus far. All right, John, that's all that I have right now.
Question, Bruce, it's Ed.
Yes, sir.
Looking back at your graph on EPB applications,
Yep.
It looks like we were going up. We went up pretty dramatically in 2018, and then went up real dramatically in 2019. But at least if you project out your October numbers for 2 more months, it doesn't look like 2020 is going to exceed 2019
Yeah, very doubtful.
for EPB applications, which is good.
Yep.
Anything else, Bruce?
That's it, sir.
All right, Jim? Jim, I don't know if you're muted.
All right, there we go. I was waiting on Bruce to unmute me.
Uh-huh.
Good afternoon, and my report is as follows. In the way of traffic, we issued 22 verbal warnings, which was a 43% decrease over October of 2019. And the year to date is 297, which is a 3.6% decrease from last year at this time. Written warnings, we just issued one. It was a 100% increase, and that's 23 year to date, which is a 21% increase. We didn't issue any traffic summonses for the month of October, but year to date, we've issued 42, which is a 12.5% decrease over last year this time. We did put the old radar trailer out for 3 days, a total of 43.5 hours. I wasn't at the last board meeting, but the new radar trailer is here, and we do plan on putting it out here in the very near future.
Hey, Jim, question for you. Is 3 hours, or I'm sorry, 3 days a month, is that fairly typical?
It's actually a little short. I think we generally see about 6 to 7 work days.
Okay.
Calls for service, total calls for service in October was 192, which is an increase of almost 8%. 2,127 year to date, which is almost a 27% increase. House checks, residential building checks, 272 for the month, which was actually down almost, just a little over 23.5%. And we had about an 8% decrease year to date at almost 3,000 building checks. Area checks, we had an increase of about 8% with 540. And year to date, 5,685, which is less than a 1% increase. We do still have vacancies. This is kind of a trying time for us right now. We've got 2 patrol vacancies and 2 public safety officer vacancies. I do have 1 public safety officer who's in the process. She just recently went for a drug screen. So we hope to have her hired and working on midnight shift, hopefully by the middle to the end of next week. The vehicle miles for the month of October was a total of 9,468, which is just shy of a 2% decrease from last year. And a total for the month of total for year to date of 9,879 miles, which is about a 6% increase. On another note of vehicles, thank you very much for approving the purchase of the vehicle for here. We have ordered it, but again, it won't hit the financials until 2021. But this gives us an opportunity to go ahead and get it ordered. And there's about a 90 to 120 day lag from the time we order it to the time we receive it. So we should see it the first part of 2021, as long as COVID doesn't shut down manufacturers again. The gate access system is running fairly smoothly. We did have 1 incident where a vehicle hit the gate arm, but we got it back up and running fairly quickly. For current items of interest, attended all the meetings that we generally do. Deer management continues, and if you saw today, we had the signs out. They're working hard today. To date, we've actually called 12 deer. I've reached out to the guys out there today, but I don't have an update yet on how things went in terms of the number. Excuse me. And let's see. We did have 1 traffic stop. It was mentioned in one of the social media platforms within Kings Mill. I don't know if it was Facebook or the next door neighbors, but some folks had seen a work van pulled over on the side of the road. I believe it was on Kings Mill Road, and an individual in handcuffs outside the vehicle. What that was a traffic stop. And when we ran the information on the driver, it turned out he had a warrant on file out in the southwestern part of the state, and it was extraditable. So we processed him, took him to jail and had him processed, and he was headed to the southwest part of Virginia to answer his warrant. Nobody's safety was in jeopardy. We just we have to handle things like that when there's a warrant on file. Other statistics that you might be interested in: accidents and injuries. All of these numbers in this category are fairly small. We're talking 1 or 2. But accidents and injuries, there's a 100% increase. I think we had 1 in last October. We didn't have any. There was a 6.5% increase in alarm activations and medical assists. There was an 18.8% increase. And with that, I don't know that I'll get an opportunity, but Kings Mill Police, all the men and women, wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. And as always, we appreciate your support.
All right, thank you, Jim.
Hold on a minute, John. This is it. I've got 2 questions, Chief. Back to the radar trailer. When the new trailer is deployed, will we receive a little more data? For example, will you be able to produce reports that say you're out on a certain street at a certain time and a certain number of vehicles went by and the average speed was such and such? I mean,
Yes, we can certainly do that.
I know you're probably training up on it now, but we'll be able to produce a little more detail for the report.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Great. Second question, any resident complaints about the DMP today?
I had some come back on the constant contact that went out. I might have had 2 or 3. And then from what I understand, there was one on Kings Mill residents past and present. Didn't have any calls come in with any complaints. So it was just a handful.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, anyone of Jim or Bruce? Okay, then I need a motion to accept the reports.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Reports are accepted. All right, let's move on to item 6. Old business, of which there is none, so that was easy. Let's move 7A, new business, building and ground committee requests to fill a vacancy with Demarius Marion, pages 14 and 15 of your materials. Craig, anything you want to say? I think Demarius would be a great addition to the committee.
Greg, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, am I good?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think our memo is self-explanatory. Demarius, we think will be a good fit, and also be an additional asset because we think she can be an effective liaison with the new Kings Mill Garden Club. She's a member of the planning committee, and the last Kings Mill Garden Club, she was a board member. And given kind of what I've seen from the early Timmons work, I think a liaison with the garden club will be a benefit to us.
yeah, she's basically my backdoor neighbor and does a very nice job keeping her yard. It looks very nice. She'll be a great addition to the committee. Anything else, Craig, you want to say?
No,
Okay, then I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second?
second,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. 7B, Building and Grounds Committees. Craig, you're up again. Request for contract with Peninsula Paving in the amount of $14,274 for various bike path and Warehams Pond Rec Center parking lot repairs. Craig, you want to tell us a little about this?
yeah, this is our annual replacement and repair really for the bike path. And it's the same contractor we always use. The amount's $14,274. We reserved a spot with them, assuming approval, so that the work can be done by the end of the year. Now, there's some work that you'll notice that needs to be done, a path overlay at the South Hall retaining wall. That's a very thin overlay.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, and they've recommended that, given the weather at this point, that we should probably put that off until warmer weather. And so we're not asking for that approval at this time.
That was 1.5 inches?
Yeah, 1.5 inches. The normal bike path replacement is 4 inches. And so that can be done.
Does KCSA, once in a while, I think, I've seen KCSA trucks actually on the bike path. Is that bike path structurally ready for that?
It is, given, given the thickness of it. The problem we have with the bike path is root heave. It's caused by the trees.
Yeah. Okay, anyone have any questions of Craig?
Yes, Ed Connors. Craig, thanks for your report. Just since I'm new to the board, just for my edification, you said that this is your annual repairs. This doesn't seem like a lot of money to me for annual repairs. Is this is this common? Is this the usual price in a year?
No, we budget about 30,000 a year, Ed. And we've come very close to that for, I think, the last 3 years. This year, we seem to have less work that needs to be done.
Okay, but we're not skimping on anything?
No, no, we're not.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Craig? Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. All right, item 7C. Manfred, Archer's Mead request for a 3-year limited common area landscape contract with Savannah's in the amount of $114,500, going up a small amount each year through 2023 for a total of $352,900. That's pages 18 to 23 in your materials. Manfred, anything you want to tell us about this?
No, it's just, we finished off a 3-year contract with JD Landscape. And we went out for a bid. We had 4 contractors bidding. The low bid came with Savannah. Our research on Savannah and our previous work with Savannah gives us faith that we've chosen an excellent contractor, and coming in at a cost that saves our residents some money on the assessments. So that's where we are.
Okay, any questions from board members?
Hey, John, let me just real quick. If you remember, we had a conversation the other day, page 5. We've gone back to the contractor to fix that. It should be items 1 through 5 and number 7. So we're pulling.
Right, that's what I plan to do.
Yep.
Manfred, this is Ed Connors. Just a quick question. How does Archer's Mead monitor the quality control of the work of the landscapers?
Well, we have 112 residents that kind of keep me alerted to any problems we might have with our landscape contractor. But we do walk the parcel very frequently after they do work, and of course any complaints that we might receive from a resident, we have in the past relayed that to the contractor, and JD has been very responsive. It's not that we're unhappy with JD. It's just been a cost issue, and also we believe Savannah offers us some things that JD has been unable to do, specifically in the matter of also doing some minor tree removals and living up, and also doing some erosion and drainage problems that we have in the parcel. So we have one contractor that we can go to and do some other issues that creep up without having to go and look for or searching for other contractors.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Manfred, do you think, and I don't mean this to sound sarcastic, if it does, I apologize, but do you think we'll ever get to the point where parcels coordinate purchases like this so they can sort of aggregate the purchasing power and drive a better deal with, and not just landscaping, this would be true for painting and for pest control and all kinds of things?
Well, certainly, John, as you well know, I mean, since you've been on the board of directors, we've been trying to find some way of being able to aggregate all of our requirements and get better pricing. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Our big problem here is, again, that we're starting on a 3-year contract. If we wanted to get everybody involved, we all would need to start at the same time. And we've got several parcels. They each have different contract limitations. We could go just to a 1-year contract eventually and then try to figure out when we would go to where everybody would do it. I certainly think, and I've expressed this to lots of people, that the landscaping work in Kingsmill wasn't envisioned to be done piecemeal by all the parcels. I think the original vision was that one overarching landscaping company was going to do the work, which was back in the Bush era. Obviously, they're landscaping people. That's the way it should have been moved forward, but it hasn't. So we're doing this piecemeal, and it's costing us probably extra money. But yeah, it would be great to be able to have it not only landscaping, but even our erosion and drainage issues, which the parcels really don't have the expertise to handle, but we're asked to solve those problems and make decisions on it. So it's a daunting, to me, it's a daunting requirement for volunteers to be responsible for such items. And we're talking about lots of money. I mean, we're spending lots of money overall to do it correctly. And it's not always that we have that expertise in-house.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, any other questions for Manfred? All right, then I need a motion to approve.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carry. All right, we're on item 7D, Lifestyle Committee request to add Linda Palatucci as a member. Sheila, you want to
Yes, I'm here.
for us?
Yes, we had the pleasure of spending some time with Linda in our last meeting, and the Lifestyle Committee is super excited to bring her on as a member.
Okay, great. This is not an expansion of the committee. This is filling an open position.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? Anyone? Need a motion to approve?
So move.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes carry. Item 7E, Burwell's Green request to establish an architectural review subcommittee within the parcel to consist of Jim Shoemaker and Bill Gary. Jim, are you there? Do you want to set this up for us?
Jim does not appear to be with us.
Okay. Anyone else from Burwell's Green there who can speak to it? Bruce, do you know a little background on this?
My understanding, and I've got Susan here with me, she may be able to help me as well. My understanding is they want to promote a subcommittee of the PAC so that they can work with owners, prototypes, approved paint colors, approved doors, kind of act as a little for EPB as well, so that the applications are coming in with what's approved within that parcel at this time.
So it's strictly advisory, just to help people who are going to file EPB applications,
Yes, sir.
help them through the process. It has no rulemaking authority or anything.
That is correct.
Okay.
The neighborly thing to do.
All right, very good. Anybody else have any other questions? I don't know who can answer them, but if you have your questions, put them out there. All right, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
John, you might want to advance your slide.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Were there any opposed? I didn't hear any.
Look, I'm sorry, my brain slipped for a second there. Hey, Bruce, just to follow up on this, would you just email Jim and Bill and ask them to maybe just give you a quick, put on their calendars, maybe 6 months from now, 7 months from now, I don't know, you pick the time, but just come back to you with 2 or 3 paragraphs as to how it's working?
Sure.
Yep, appreciate it. And then let us know.
Yep.
And Bruce, if we could make sure the minutes just show that this was strictly an advisory committee with no rulemaking authority.
We got it. Thank you.
You bet. All right, item 7F, Wareham's Point request for a contract with Savannah's in the amount of $10,000 for cleanup. Susan, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk to this. This is just their annual bank maintenance cleanup that they have budgeted every year. We've applied to the county and they've approved our application. So this is just to get it done. It's got to be done by December 31st.
So like you said, it's all in the budget, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Any questions, anyone? Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 7G. Randall. Communications Committee request to add Anna Lind as a new member.
So Anna Lind has been attending our communications committee meetings and providing lots of great ideas, and she's been consistently coming. And so we finally said, fill out that statement of interest, come on. And so she has joined our team and we're really excited about it. She's got a great eye, she's got lots of ideas, and we still have a few more slots to fill on the committee. So if anyone else is interested, but we're excited to have Anna join us officially.
Should be a good addition. Any questions? Any board member? Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, any opposed? Motion carries. All right, it's item 7H under new business. AMPD request to replace handguns for an amount not to exceed $7,600. Jim, you want to take us through this?
Yes, sir. I'm happy to do so. We're requesting no more than $7,600 for the replacement of our current firearms and accessories. And basically, what transpired here, our weapons are from the early 90s, and it's time to basically get away from the large 45 caliber weapon and go with a smaller 9mm. The FBI did a study not too long ago that basically confirmed the fact that 9mm was sufficient in law enforcement. There was a time there where bigger was better, or the thought was that, and times have changed. And like I say, our weapons were purchased back in the early 90s. The big 45 sometimes is difficult for some of our smaller officers. Either the grip is too big on it or the recoil is too much. So what I did, I reached out to Glock, who supplies us with our weapons, and asked them for a price on the new 9mm, and they came back with a price of $414. I took that price and sent it out to the 4 distributors on the East Coast, and they all knocked the price down by $5. But then I also gave them an inventory of our old or the current weapons that we use, and right now happens to be a great time for trading those in. Basically, we're looking at about we're really no more than a net of $124 per weapon. And in changing those out to 9mm, it means that the magazine pouches have to be changed, the holster has to be changed out, and that's where most of this expense is going to be found. We do want to include a rail flashlight that actually goes on the weapon, stays on the weapon, so that if we are in a situation where we're in the dark and have to draw our weapon for whatever reason, we've got a light on it to illuminate downrange to see what we're looking at without the officer having to take a hand off the gun, pull his flashlight out, use his flashlight and his gun at the same time. So anyway, with that, I've got several quotes, and I haven't decided on the exact distributor that we'll go with, but the highest that would be about $7,600. So we're asking for an approval of an amount no greater than 7,600.
Okay, any questions of Jim?
John, this is within the current operating budget too.
Okay.
Thank you, Ron. I meant to say that.
All right, and I will tell our homeowners who are watching that if you're curious why there aren't a lot of questions from the board members, we've been through this once or twice in our working sessions and ask our questions pretty much at that point. So it's not for being missing in action. We've just been through our questions for the most part with Jim on this.
John, this is Ed again. Chief, remind us the firearms training for the officers.
We have two trainings we do each year. One is in the spring. It's an annual qualification that's required by the Department of Criminal Justice Services. And it's during daylight hours. There's a certain course of fire that we have to take, and we have to pass with at least 70%. I actually have our officers pass with 80% or better. I want to be better than just what the minimum requirement is. And I am proud to say that most of our officers are 85% or better. And then we do a fall qualification where we shoot at night, because if we shot in the day all the time, it's not realistic to, when the officers are out or when they may encounter a situation where they might have to draw their weapon.
Okay. And what range do we use?
We use the James City County Police Department's range.
Okay. Thank you.
We have a verbal agreement with them to use it.
Any other questions to Jim? All right, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. 7H carries. 7I, and actually I, J, and K. Ron, you want to take us through the 2021 KCSA budget, 2021 KMPD budget, and the 2021 parcel budgets?
Well, these budgets have been constructed over a period of time beginning last May. The KCSA, well, the total budget amounts to about $10.4 million. So it's a large, these are large budgets. The parcel element of that is $2,233,000, which of each of the parcels, we've met with each of the parcels and gone over their budgets. And I've talked about the plans, both for the current year and some of the future moves they want to make. But all of these budgets are bringing in enough revenue to pay all current operating expenses. In some cases, they are a little bit short on the meeting all the funded requirements, but we've given them traditionally 2 to 3 years to bring everyone up to snuff. So there's no deficits that we're looking at all. And there's certainly contingency funds available. At least the rule is 1 month's operating funds in contingency for unplanned expenditures. So those are included in the budget. Within KCSA, the total budget flow, that is the total funds that will plan to flow through the community, are $8,136,000. Of that, $7,938,000 of that is comes in the form of dues and planned dues and other income. And we plan to spend beyond the reserves and mortgage reserves. We plan to spend $5,557,000 in operating funds to take care of our expenses within the community. Just to break this down for I know there's a tremendous number of figures that we can all get into, and certainly those budgets we've had a number of forums, and we do post the budgets online. But just to break it down a little bit more for people, if you think about your $183 of homeowner assessment, if you paid the mortgage and the reserves, we're left with $140.66 each month for our operating funds. The police department costs every homeowner about $42,000, almost 43. The community centers are budgeted
42 or $43, not $1,000, right?
right, $42.90. Yeah. And the community centers around $16 a month. The recurring maintenance are right at $40. Other professional and others, which is insurance and attorneys and things of that nature, run right at $8 a month. The administration, which is primarily payroll and staff, runs about $27 a month. Communications, $2. And the use of our buildings, offices, and things like that are run around $4 a month. So that's what you get for your $140, and the rest of that $43 or so pays the mortgage and sets aside money for replacement of infrastructure. But as I've said, the Budget and Finance Committee has looked at this along with all the parcels. The board has been briefed. We've had joint meetings and so on with the board. And I think these budgets we're ready to be approved, and we will build, if we get them approved now, we'll be able to go to press at the end of this month to build the coupon books for the payments for next year. And then the Budget and Finance Committee will turn to building the spending plans we're figuring out which month these expenditures will occur and so on. But I move these three budgets be approved.
All right,
Are there any questions?
All right, any questions, Ron?
Nope.
And I'll make my same comment to the homeowners who are wondering why isn't the board asking questions. We have been through this in detail. I think on November 4th, we had a work session. Then on November 10th, when the budget was, Ron went through it again, Ron and Carolyn went through it again for the community. The board was there for that. So we've had ample opportunity to review this at this point. Then I need a second to Ron. Do I have a second to Ron's motion?
Second.
All right, last chance. Any questions or anything? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that budget's passed. And again, Ron, on behalf of the board and everything, thank you and thank Carolyn and thank the Finance Committee and the committees and the parcels and KMPD. And there's so many people that are involved in this budget process that begins around the middle of May, I think, and goes through today. So it's literally a 6-month process, and you guys just do a tremendous job. So thank you. Thank you all for your efforts in putting our budgets together. All right, we're going to do a little flip-flop in the schedule here. We had Mr. Kendall scheduled to be part of the EPB appeals. We're actually going to move that up. It's not really an EPB appeal. It's more on a regular agenda item. So we're going to pick that up next. So you'll find those materials in your packet back where the EPB appeals material was.
John, could we back up just 1 minute? I received a call and I spoke with Bruce. The Winster Fax wants to begin execution of their tree management budget, the 21 budget, a little bit early the contractor would like to get started in December. I told them that I would make note of that. I forgot until just now that I would make note of that to the board to allow them to, it's budgeted in their OER in their 21 budget, which we just approved. But they would like to start, the contractor would like to start execution in December. And I don't see any reason for that, why they shouldn't, but I would like the board to be aware.
So it'll actually, the expenditure itself will actually be in 2021 or 2020?
Well, the contractor will start this month. I don't know when the funds will probably flow in 21 actually, but the actual work, the commitment to the contract would start in December.
Okay, so it'll be a 2020 expense then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I honestly think and I think I'm not sure, Lane's with us. Let me just see if Lane's available to chat for a second. I think it would probably be more of a 2021 expense, execute the contract now to give them the Lane, are you available?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. I went out and bought a mic just so that I could. Yeah, they actually told me that they could receive payment over the next 3 months. We could stagger it in a way that's convenient for us if they could begin it in December. So how that works from a budgeting standpoint, I'm not sure, but if we want it. Sorry.
From an accounting standpoint, it's when is the liability incurred, not so much when does the cash transfer.
I think we could do it in 2021. They would do the bulk of the work in 2020, but then we could pay them through February, they told me.
Yeah, but the obligation begins in 2020.
Yeah, okay. Yes, that's true.
Hey, Lane, is that with Brightview?
Yes, it is. We
Okay.
did a walkthrough with them this week. They sent you the report just a day or so ago, Bruce.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm going to give David a call real quick. I think you met with David Lewis, didn't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll give him a call and just get some payment clarifications real quick, and I'll let the board know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron, is there anything else we need to I guess, investigate on this, where maybe we do it as a UC, or are you comfortable with us going ahead and doing it at this point?
Well, like I said, there's nothing unusual about this.
Yeah.
And certainly we could do a UC, but I just wanted the board to be aware while we're in session.
Okay, well, I need a recommendation to either take it up now or do it as a UC. So,
well, I move that we allow Winster Fax to begin their tree management contract in the month of December, which is actually budgeted in their, carried in their 2021 budget.
okay, need a second?
Second.
All right, any more questions, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go.
Hey, John, I just talked to David, and there'll be a progress payment due in December.
Okay,
We're good.
yeah, we just approved it, so that's fine.
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
You bet. As I was saying, we're gonna move the schedule around just a little bit, and next item on the agenda is gonna be Mr. Kendall's, I think it's 501 Sir George Percy, if I'm not mistaken, is the address. And we're gonna pick that up as an agenda item rather than an EPB appeal. So Bruce, you wanna set this up a little bit?
Yeah, Dave's with us as well. I just unmuted him, so he's able to, he'll chime in.
Oh, okay.
This is basically, if we go back to July, I guess, with the original request, when the EPB reviewed it, the EPB recommended that it be placed up on the right-hand side of the home within the enclosure where the HVAC units are. And Mr. Kendall, of course, as we know, it was installed out in the yard without approval from the board. And Mr. Kendall came to us at that point and asked about overriding the EPB and allowing it to stay there at that time. The charge back in July was, from the board, was for him to meet with staff and Mark Jacobowski, with the chair of the EPB, to review other location options as well as screening options. I do know staff has gone out there. Myself, Susan, and Dorothy have all been out there at some point and met with Mr. Kendall. Dorothy and Susan continue to say it needs to be on that one side of the home or on the left-hand side of the home. My recommendation is the left-hand side. The gas meter's right there as well. So I'll leave. That's kind of where we are at this point here. He did put a little an application in for a fence inside the current fence that's there to screen it a little bit, and that was denied. I understand at the last meeting you guys upheld the EPB's decision on that. So that's kind of where we are at this point, John.
All right, thank you. Dave, did you have some comments you wanted to make?
I just hope this is the last time I'm on your agenda. And no, I think it's pretty straightforward. Whatever y'all do, I'll work with the EPB and make them happy.
Okay. So the action you're asking the board to take today is to approve it where it is at this point?
Yes, sir. To grant a variance to leave it where it is, and I'll make it disappear there.
John, this is Ed.
Yeah.
I think that the legal action is we have to go back to the July EPB denial of his application to have it approved in the yard. The board never acted on that appeal. It never voted yes or no. You asked him to go back and look at this or look at that. So I think that where we are right now is we've got an EPB denial of his application to install it in the yard. And I think we should make a decision to clarify it so that everybody knows for some reason or other, we overrode the denial or we upheld the denial. I think that's got to be clear for the community.
Okay, Ed, do you have a motion in mind?
Yeah, I've studied this very carefully, looked at it, studied the history, found out the issues with the next door neighbor. And I see no compelling reason that we should overturn the EPB decision. So I move that the board uphold the EPB denial of the application to put the generator in the yard.
All right, I need a second.
I second it.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the finding of the EPB is upheld. Ed, is anything else on this we need to do today, or that's it?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is there any other action we need to take, or is that's sufficient?
No, I think, you know, I sympathize with Mr. Kendall to have to undergo expense to move the generator, but, you know, he has to remember that he did this on his own. When the installer advised him that it wouldn't fit along the wall with the other HVAC units, he should have come back to EPB right at that point before going out on his own and putting it in the yard. So, you know, I'm sorry it came to this, but I think we could have resolved it much sooner.
All right, thank you, everyone. Let's move on to item 8. President's report is going to be very short because a couple of the issues I was going to talk about have already been discussed. So you got lucky today, folks. But one thing I want to cover for sure is we got a lot of great volunteers at KCSA. We're really blessed not to only have a a good quantity of volunteers, but the quality of the volunteers is really outstanding. We have about 125, including our committees, KCSA committees, the parcel committees, and that kind of thing. But Kings Mill lost a good friend over the last few weeks, you may already know. And once in a while, a really special volunteer comes along, somebody who makes multiple really valuable contributions over an extended period of time. And in this case, this was Doug Haller. Doug, while he was active in KCSA, was a member, and he was chair of the Building and Grounds Committee. He was a member and also chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. He was a member of the KCSA Board of Directors and also treasurer of KCSA. He was instrumental in preparing a development plan for our managed forest floor policy that we have here, and so many other things that he was directly sort of the chief honcho in making happen. And his commitment is really above and beyond what one would normally expect to our community. So the board would like to recognize his efforts in a special way. And we're currently discussing alternatives. We haven't settled on anything yet. So we're certainly open to suggestions, but we would very much like, in a more permanent way, to recognize Doug's contributions. And so we'll report back to you in a few weeks how we plan to do that. In terms of deer management, I think Jim really covered that pretty well. The only other piece I might mention is we want to do this town hall meeting. We had it scheduled for November 10th, which was the same night that we did the budget presentation to the community. But we had to remove it from the agenda due to our speakers not being available on those evenings. So we're currently in the process of rescheduling and hope to have our meeting sometime in December. But in the meantime, there is a comprehensive Q&A that we put on the KCSA website. So if you go to kingsmillcommunity.org to the homepage and look kind of down below the fold, you'll see a deer icon there. And if you click on that, it's a fairly detailed set of questions and answers. So I would encourage anyone with a particular interest in that or particularly strong feelings about our deer management program to please take a look at that. And then we'll have a good discussion about it when we have our town hall meeting. That's really, there's actually one other thing I want to cover very, very briefly. As I mentioned last month, we had signed an agreement with the resort on the plantation and the soccer field. And since then, we've had some really interesting discussions with the resort around the plantation buildings and the grounds. And I want to give them credit here for getting this really going. We're talking about various things, and I'll leave that for later to report that out. But I just want to say thanks to our Escalante colleagues for that. And also, one thing they've taken responsibility for is restoring that fence in front of the plantation. So it's all been, the old wood's been taken down, all new wood's in the process. Last time I looked, it was still in the process of being put up. I know that the pickets were cut to be historically correct. And so it's the start, hopefully, of a long-term project, but a project that will start to bring the plantation back. And I just want to acknowledge our Escalante colleagues for picking up the ball and running with that. All right, next, let's go to our standing committee reports. Brandon, communications. Brandon, I think you're muted.
Unmute. Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
All right. So communications committee is we're doing so much to make things. You'll see online on the website that there are forms. Charity, who is our communications staff at KCSA, she has done a great job to create forms that are fillable online. So it's not a copy of a copy. And we're just trying to really create a better system. So I just wanted to highlight that it's getting better, and it's going to continue to keep getting better. And starting next month, I'm sorry, yeah, so in December, you should see, I apologize, there's a blower going on in my background outside. And so you should be able to see next month, we're highlighting we're having an article. It's our first article where we're highlighting a neighbor And we want to continue this throughout the year. And we're going to continue making positive changes to the bulletin, more engaging articles. And so just when you get that bulletin, please check it out and read it and give us some feedback. And if you have a neighbor that you think we should highlight, let us know. And again, we're always looking for additional people to add to the committee. I think we have a few more spots. So if you know somebody that's interested, or if you yourself are interested, please give Charity or myself a call. And that's pretty much it.
All right, very good. Thank you, Brandon. Dave, Public Safety.
Should be able to unmute Dave. There you go. Dave, are you there? He's unmuted.
All right, why don't we continue, and if I remember, we'll come back to him at the end and try again. All right. Okay, the remaining portion of the meeting is really going to focus on an EPB appeal, and so anybody not involved in the appeal process, you're welcome to stay or welcome to depart if you don't want to stay for this portion. So the owner, Mr. Cloutier, I probably just destroyed your last name, will be unmuted during the appeal. So Mark, are you there? Would you like to discuss the reasons for the denial?
Hey, John,
We'll turn it over to the homeowner.
Hold on just a second before you go. Mr. Cloutier is not with us. I don't think. I'm trying to open up these two phones that dialed in. Either one of those or him.
John, while we're waiting, could you, I'd like to encourage everyone to go to the website and look at the Timmons discussions. I know you've mentioned that before, but we got questions during this budget cycle of, what are the plans, where are we going, that kind of thing. And certainly those discussions that are listed on the Timmons group on our KCSA website will certainly get people informed in the general direction that we're headed here.
Yeah, I'll just to kill a moment here. If you go to kingsmillcommunity.org, then up on the master menu, click on About Us. On the About Us menu will be a link to the master planning process. And up there right now are our 3 Zoom meetings, our 3 virtual open houses that we've done over the last month or so, where Timmons has reported back to us some of the what they found as a result of the community survey that took place a few months ago. And then they talked about other issues like branding and signage and lights and rec centers and a lot of things. Really good stuff. So if you have the inclination, I really would encourage everyone to go to, again, kingsmillcommunity.org, go to up on the main menu About Us and click on the master plan and take a look at those Zoom meetings. I think you'll find them really interesting. So Bruce, how are we doing?
Well, I got myself muted. Mr. Cloutier, if you're on your phone, I've got 2 folks that have dialed in. Can you can unmute yourself? We've pulled the EPB application, and the 2 phone numbers we have in here don't match his number, so I'm guessing he is not with us.
All right. So I guess we should you think we should, I'm not familiar enough with this case to know, should we table it or should we go ahead and take a position on it now?
Oh, we cannot proceed. He would be denied his due process.
Okay. So we will table that then for our next meeting.
Oh, hold on just a second, John. Ed, why would that be? This isn't a due process. He's appealing. He was given the opportunity to attend.
Due process is just the term. It's not, don't confuse it with your other due process hearings. He has to be able to, unless he has told you that he's not interested in attending, we have to assume that something went wrong and he has to be given an opportunity to be heard.
Yeah, plus I think it's fair to the homeowner to give him his day in court here, so.
Okay.
Are we able to give him a call real quick and see if he's just not able?
Yeah, we'll try to do that. Let me see if we can get Dave McGinnis back up. Hey, Dave, are you there? Hey, Dave, try turning your volume up. Yeah, he's unmuted, but I don't.
Well, Ron, I'm sorry, Bruce, if you can get a quick answer, fine. Otherwise, I'm inclined to move this to the next meeting and,
Yeah, we're gonna call real quick.
all right.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
This is Dave. Could you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I had changed microphones. I don't know, somehow it got screwed up. Just a brief report on Public Safety Committee. We had our first meeting since March this month. It was basically an organizational meeting, a housekeeping meeting, but we did go through the process and got our reports from Jim. And the one thing I will say for the benefit of any homeowners, I agree with you all. You already approved the sidearm purchase. That's the right way to go. And I've reviewed that report a couple of years ago from the FBI, and it's a smart way to go. The CERT team, believe it or not, even with the pandemic, has been meeting and training basically by Zoom and occasionally at the pavilion. As far as our future plans, we will continue to meet monthly again. We'll be using Zoom. We have putting together a plan for next year. Part of that's going to be an educational program along with KMPD on bicycles and bicycle safety. We've seen some problems on the bike path protocol between bikers and walkers. And also for those of us who walk dogs early in the morning, have seen some issues with people riding bikes, more serious bikers riding on the roadways and not being properly lighted or having the right kind of clothing on. So we'll be doing that. And that's basically, also, we had one question which Ed was going to take up with the rest of you and get back to me on how we proceed on the performance measures, measurement of performance measures and how you want to proceed. So that's all I have.
On how we want you to proceed or whether or not we want you to proceed?
Well, I think both. The performance measures were out there. You guys approved them, you negotiated them, and we were tasked initially last spring with working on it. And of course, we didn't meet. So we've done no work on it. And a lot of things have changed in the last 8 months.
Yeah, my recollection is where we left it is we had something on the order of 35 metrics. That may be off by
yes,
one, somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 metrics. And that was going to be boiled down to a more manageable number. And I thought they were going to be sort of on a rolling 3-year cycle where we do a certain number this year,
right,
number next year, and then the third year, and then we'd start the cycle over. That's
okay,
what I remember. And I would still say that's the way to go.
okay, that's what I recall.
Yeah.
I'm sure Ed can back that up.
Well, I think where we are now, I mean, that's a decent enough summary. But the first step is to just take a small step. And I'm in the process of, I'm going to meet with the chief, and I'll meet with you, Dave, and we'll pull one of the more significant performance measurement items out of the report and try to test it to see how that goes. It would be something along the lines of a small survey, but we're working on that right now. And as soon as we finalize it, we'll get back to everybody.
Okay, good.
Okay. Dave, one other thing, there is a study that was done, I've anywhere from 5 to 10 years ago, I'm not sure. And I think it was done by the Public Safety Committee. And Dave Everly, I know, was involved in it. And do you have a copy of that? Do you know, first of all, do you know the study I'm talking about? And do you have a copy of it?
No,
Yeah, as well.
no, I don't know it.
What study?
It's a safety study is all. I don't know a lot about it. It came up in a conversation when we were talking about looking at our intersections, making sure landscaping was trimmed back, making sure our signs were readable, things like that, just a general safety study. And somewhere along the way, I understand public safety had issued some kind of report. Could have been 19 years ago, even, a while back, but I'm just trying to get a hold of a copy of it. If you know what I'm talking about.
I've been involved with public safety for 8 years now, and it doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. All right. All right, Bruce.
I'll
ahead.
poll some of the older members of our committee and see if anybody remembers it. Let you know,
Okay.
John.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Bruce,
Yes, sir.
where are we?
We've tried calling the number that we have and it got no answer, and the numbers don't match. The number that we have on our system doesn't match either one of the two phone numbers that are in here.
Well, then if everyone is okay with it, why don't we move that to our December agenda? If it's an emergency, we'll find a way to deal with it earlier, but move it to our December agenda and give him an opportunity to be here and speak to it.
I agree with that.
Sounds good.
All right. Any board member have any other questions or comments you would like to make before we adjourn?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
You bet.